I'm not supposed to be alive. That's the only way I can explain it. Because if everything had gone the way it was meant to, I would have died with Elle. But I saw something that night. Something no one else did. And I haven't been able to sleep since. Let me explain. I worked at Wami's house, not as an orphan, not like Near or Mello. I was staff, a janitor actually. Nobody really noticed me. But I saw everything, every clue, every whispered name. I wasn't stupid. I learned to stay quiet, to keep my head down. But I had eyes and ears. When Elle brought Light Yagami into his circle during the Kira case, most of the staff were tense. Some believed Elle had finally found his equal. Others thought he'd gone mad. But I just watched. That's how I noticed it. A small change. Elle began sleeping less, eating less, watching Light more obsessively. That wasn't the surprising part. The surprising part was the burnt page I found in the fireplace. It was black, slightly singed, and had writing in it, what looked like names. I shouldn't have touched it, but I did. And for a second, it felt like my heart was going to explode. But nothing happened. I thought it was a prank. Until Elle died. Everyone says Light Yagami killed Elle. That Light tricked Rem into writing his name in the notebook out of desperation to protect Misa. And yes, that's partially true. But it's not the full story. The truth is, Rem didn't act out of desperation. She acted out of design. And that design was laid out by someone else. Let me tell you what I found in the weeks after Elle's death. I stayed at the new HQ when Near took over. I kept cleaning, kept acting invisible, but one day I noticed that same burnt paper again, not in the fireplace, but in a trash bin in Light Yagami's room. Only this time it wasn't burnt. It was torn. And at the top, in faded letters, it said, "Death Note, how to use it." My heart dropped. I'd only heard rumors, but seeing it confirmed what I'd begun to fear. Someone had been using the Death Note within the task force, and it wasn't Light. You see, the Shinigami eyes let you see a person's name and lifespan above their head, right? That's a rule. And only humans who touch the notebook can see the Shinigami. But here's the thing. I saw someone talking to thin air in the hallway a week before Elle died. Aizawa. I know how that sounds. It shocked me too. But it wasn't Aizawa's voice that unnerved me. It was the laugh I heard in response. A dry, inhuman chuckle. I stood still and listened. "Stick to the plan," Aizawa said to the empty hallway. "He's going to corner himself." Then silence. I never told anyone. Who would believe me? After Light died, things went quiet. But Ryuk's notebook wasn't the only one. That's canon. The Shinigami dropped multiple notebooks. The story only told you about a few. I think I found another, hidden in a false ceiling tile in Soichiro Yagami's office, wrapped in black plastic, completely untouched. And here's the twist. Inside that notebook was a list of names with exact dates and causes of death. And every one of them was someone connected to Elle's surveillance network. Technicians, assistants, even a mailman who accidentally saw Light's face once. And at the very top of that list, Rem. You remember the rule, right? If you write a Shinigami's name in the notebook, nothing happens. Shinigami can't be killed by a human's death note. That's fact. But what if the name wasn't written to kill but to lure? What if someone wrote Rem to get her attention, and then used the rest of the notebook not to kill humans, but to manipulate her into killing? The rule is simple. If a Shinigami kills someone to extend a human's life, they die. Who benefited from Rem's death? Light. Who manipulated her into it? We thought it was Light, but the truth is, He was being manipulated too. Now here's where it gets disturbing. Remember how Near beat Light in the end? How he switched the pages and caught Light monologuing? I found something in Near's room before he returned to America. Another black notebook, but it was empty. No names, no rules, just a note inside. A fake death note is still a tool when used correctly. A trap doesn't need to be real. It just needs to be believed. And that's when it clicked. Near had known the truth all along. He knew there was a second user, not Light, not Misa, not Mikami. And he let them continue because they weren't killing. They were only threatening. But the original user, the one who orchestrated L's death by influencing Rem, that wasn't Near, it wasn't Mikami, and it wasn't Light. It was Watari. You ever wonder how Watari always had perfect timing? How he erased all of L's data in seconds as if waiting? Or how L's real name was such a closely guarded secret, known only to a man who never once made a mistake? Watari had the notebook. From the very beginning, he never used it to kill directly. He used it to control. He wrote backup plans into it, programmed deaths, manipulations, countermeasures. He didn't believe in justice. He believed in L. And when L began to trust Light, Watari saw it as a betrayal. So he manipulated Rem, using Misa as bait, and triggered her death, knowing it would kill L. That's why Watari died instantly. Not because Rem killed him, but because his role was complete. He wrote his own name in the notebook to die alongside L, a final loyalty. I left the task force after that, burned everything I found, because if Near ever finds out I know, he might finish what Watari started. So I'm telling you, anonymously, not for fame, not for credit, but because the world needs to know the truth. Light didn't kill L. He was just another piece on Watari's board. And I saw it happen. The first time L died, it wasn't Light. It was Watari.